How you doing? I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Hold on. Hang on, guys. I'll be right there. Let's see. Okay, doke. That's good. Hey, hey, Ferdy. Hey, Mark. Jose. How you guys doing? Good to see you. How was your visit? How'd your visit go today, Fernie? Hello, 911. You're 67 degrees now. That's almost perfect temperature. Ours, I don't know what we had. We had one of those perfect snowfalls. It fell and it's gone now. I mean, it didn't take very long because, I mean, we're warming up to over 32 possibly. It's not good for the snow, but we got wind. That'll bring the chill factor way down. Anyway, guys, this is I got honey all over my cup of coffee. What do you guys want to talk about? How are things in Winter Park? How about you, Jose or Mark or Fernie? What would be a good topic that we could kick? I got a rant to go on a little later, but I'll save it. Oh, by the way, is the sound and video working okay? I forgot to ask. Sometimes I'm talking to something and nobody hears me. Everything's working okay. Great. Thanks, Mark. Watches you look to get this year, maybe. I think maybe. Let's see. Well, I already got my Roger Dubuis Moni gas. I already have that one. And it's only January. And I one of the things I wanted to get, I don't know if I'll get it now, is a trying to see if I have it over here, is a Daniel Roth Papillon. Um, but those are fairly expensive. I would have to sell both of my other Daniel Roths, and I was told by everybody, don't sell those. So what am I supposed to do? Hey, Finnegan, how you doing? In Brisbane, it was 105. Good grief. You guys are in summertime there. It's also been 98% humidity. Good grief. Now that sounds like Florida in the summer. Jeez. Okay. Well, we're here. We're having, it's funny. Snow in New England looks like one of those old Courier and Ives printings when you have the couple in this sled and going along and everything's really pretty. Whereas when it snows down south, it looks like a post-cryptic, a cryptical landscape. All these cars smacking into each other, no snow plows. It's rough. Hey, William, how you doing? Oh, good. Oh, from the Florida Keys. You're from Margaritaville. I know where that is. In Cabo, there are no bad days here ever. Got a Cabo story, a Cabo San Lucas story. Um, well, I have a near Cabo San Lucas. There's just north of a few years ago, like 30 years ago, there was a total eclipse that was supposed to be down by Cabo. And a friend of mine who was a physicist said, "Hey, would you fly me and my girlfriend down there?" So we flew him down to China. It wasn't Cabo, just La Paz. Is that right? I think it was maybe La Paz, just north of Cabo. And we saw us landed the airplane in the runway, and all these other planes were down there, and everybody's looking at it. Total eclipse came, perfect total eclipse. Then it was over. So we got in the airplane and flew back. Hi, Rooston. How you doing? Hi, Spain. ¿Cómo está? Can you share your opinion of JLC, Jaeger-LeCoultre watches? Is there any interesting models except for the geophysics line? Boy, that's a good question. Here is something that I just found out about. I sort of knew this, but didn't know it. At one time, Jaeger-LeCoultre, I was reading about this movement that Vacheron-Constantin has called the 1200. I think that's it. I think it was, yeah, either that or the 1100, one of the two. Anyway, 1200, I think. Anyway, so I was reading about the movement, and it said it's based on a Jaeger-LeCoultre as a base movement for it. And it also said that Jaeger-LeCoultre made, this is in the early 90s, about 1994, and maybe a little sooner, a little afterwards. And they said, well, they had a deal that same Jaeger-LeCoultre could only be used with Vacheron-Constantin, Audemars Piguet, and Patek Philippe. All right. So it's sort of like, okay, that's we've taken care of our movement. We'll have a Jaeger-LeCoultre put in it. So my opinion of them in general is been two things. One, underrated, so which means their prices are much lower than at least to me, their price is lower than their horology. They got higher horology. I don't know about one of the things I think is good to have, but not as necessary as good horology, is the englage, the beveling, and all of those things. That's important, the finishing, but it's not important. I mean, if you're finishing up sort of a junky thing and make it look nice, it's not much, but that's not Jaeger-LeCoultre. Jaeger-LeCoultre is like a goods. In fact, that's what they were before they became a watch brand. They were simply a movement brand. They just made movement. But other than the Jaeger-LeCoultre, the ones from the geophysics, I think some of them, some of the, I think I call them, were they masters? Some of those are pretty good. And some of them are really good prices. I think what happened is that they sort of, a couple of things happened. The line went down. In other words, the offerings went down and the prices went up thanks to Richemont. Now, once they get sold, Richemont has no say in what you can sell them for. And so you can get a lot better deals that way, I think. Really like the duometry. Me too. I like that a lot, Finnegan. That's a really good one. Hey, Tony, how you doing? Brian, good to see you. Finnegan, the Master Compressor Extreme Lab 2. Amazing watch. Yeah. And yeah, they still got those, the duometry and the Extreme Lab are the Master Compressor. They're a little pricey. I mean, they're not something that is in a lot of people's budget, though. Geometry is tops in my book, 9/11. I'm not gonna. You won't get an argument from me. Master control. Their master control line was one I was thinking about. That one I don't think in general is part of the geometric series. You were asking about others in the geometric series. Some of the master control ones, I think you can find some good deals on those, and they're good ones, I think. Okay, let me know when it's okay for me to go on a rant. I got a rant today, but I don't want to interrupt anything until I have permission. Okay, what else do you guys have on your mind? Got honey all over the place. You know, one that hi James, how you doing? The JLC 750 movement is the Ralph Lauren stirrup. Wow, that is a nice one, James. Hi, Callis Storman. How you doing? Just found out that Jaeger-LeCoultre made automations. Did they ever? Yeah, they have one called, I think it's called a Charming Bird. You know, way back in the day, he would make them for the Imperial Court of China. Yeah, no, his a lot of interesting stuff. He also made some naughty ones too. if you look, if you look long enough. Hi, Andrew. Rustam, I recently saw Roger Dubuis Lamania 320 bass chronograph in homage. It's beautiful. I'm not surprised. They are big. You're right about that. 911, the 916 company did a review today of Merce Grossman Autumn that impressed me. I got to tell you, that Autumn I have, Autumn or however they pronounce it, that's a very good watch. Hey there with the Chinese characters. How are you today? I wish you good health and happy new year for 2025. I wish the same for you. That's a nice wish. Hi, Andrew. Oops, took the message away. Yeah, no, I'm trying to work out a deal with Catherine Hutter on that. um, cool. From South Korea. Okay, that's cool. South Korea is my dad my parents went there for a vacation some years ago and really enjoyed themselves. I haven't been there yet. I'd like to go. Caesar, good to see you. Okay. Hey, killer. Rustam, why watches are getting so big? I'm a large guy, but 44 to 46 plates are out of control. Also, any news on Larique? Oh boy, is there any news on Larique? I got honey all over me. Um, I'll talk about that. Let me go on my rant first. Well, I'll have my rant, and then I'll come back to Larique. Um, oh boy, yeah, Jose. Let me get back to you on that one. I won't forget. Okay. Now here's my rant. Hi, Forbin. Um, okay. Are you ready? Here's it's sort of a rant. It's not a very big rant. Best I can do. Um, the a lot of times when I publish something, when some video comes out and somebody says, where is that? Where'd you find that? I had one recently, and there was an Hermes triple calendar. Say, where'd you find that? Well, the thing of it is that it's an Hermes triple calendar. You can find it the same way I did. Just do a Google search. That's all. But it's really amazing that I'm not talking to anyone here in particular, but I get that every now and then. I was wondering, what are these guys thinking? Now, let me explain it a little more. It's there are so many things to discover. It's not so much that I'll find a particular watch, but I'll find something that's really interesting, perhaps in addition to the particular watch that I'm looking for. And so it's something that, man, I'll tell you, I can waste a whole day doing this stuff. But what gets me is that some people think, well, I'll ask Bill. Don't ask me. Not that I don't mind sharing stuff. God knows I do that, but rather find something that nobody else found before you, and then get it before they can get their mitts on it. That plus the fact that it's just more fun to do. Also, too, oftentimes I don't trust a lot of stuff that I see on the internet. I mean, anybody who does is sort of foolish, but when it comes to horology, I'm seeing more and more stuff being pumped out by artificial intelligence. And sometimes the only thing that artificial intelligence is getting is what some PR blurb put out. So they'll grab the PR blurb about some brand and say, oh, this is what it is. And it's not. It's just a public relations blurb. So anyway, that's what the fun part is really digging into it for my own entertainment, not to be super smart or anything about horology. I'm too irresponsible for that. What I want to do is find stuff that I find interesting, not because I'm doing it. Oh, this is a job. I got to go search for watches. Man, the easiest thing in the world for anybody to do is to get me off of whatever I want to say. Hey, what about this watch? Let's go look for it. Oh boy. Okay, that's the end of my rant. Not, but I mean, I just don't understand is that someone will have a thing. Where is it? Where is it? Jesus. I've been putting where I found it. There's another thing that happens, and this is important to know that. And that is that it seems like this one. I mentioned the Uncouth, the Hermes Uncouth triple calendar. I had a nice navy blue one, and I think it was on Chrono 24. Well, after the video came out, somebody snatched it up right away. And boom, it was gone. Okay, that was my rant. And it's like, it's the way you find something. I mean, like Google search makes things so easy. There's probably a lot of other search engines, picking on you, Brian. Yeah, there was an article. It's really funny. It was an article I didn't read, but I read the header, and that stuck with me. And the article was, it had to do with fact checking. Who are the fact checkers? Well, it depends who's doing the fact checking, because I've seen some stuff people who either they think they're fact checking, but they know so little that they don't even know what to look for or how to interpret the facts. And the more you play around with that, the more interesting it becomes, and the more you see, to me, the richness of the sort of like, it's like a detective investigation. It's a lot of fun. I mean, otherwise, well, that's when I'm not watching cat videos or something important like that. Hey, killer. All right. Now let me go back. I promised Jose I would give him my opinion. What about Moritz Grossman? To me, they are a fabulous watch. They are in general too expensive for my budget. Okay. I got one because nobody was looking. I guess I got a heck of a buy on one. It was totally unused, and it's just been a delight to have. I mean, as horologically, the movement in those things is so good. So I really am a big fan of that. What I like is the hematic movement, but those things are 60,000 euro. And so I've been trying to make a deal with Catherine Hutter. Hey, Catherine, here's a deal for you, and it may go through. So that'll be fun. I'd have to find 20 other saps to go along with me, but that'd be cool. Hi, Howard. How you doing? Mr. Hill, our GM watches are well worth owning. I like the you're welcome, Jose. Howard, you know the one I like is called the Corps of Engineers that RGM do. Roland Murphy's watches. That one I like. Okay, killer. Yeah, I gotta talk to him. And Grossman only in precious. No. Mine's in steel. They have steel ones, Tim. It's either in steel, like I wanted, or they slipped in white gold when I wasn't looking. Dirty rats. Okay, all right. I've done my rant. What do you guys want to talk about? Yeah, there you go. 37K euro. Yeah, that's a lot of money. Okay, what else is on the menu today, guys? Let's see what else is going on. Tim, lane watches. What do you think? Still trying to make my mind up about them. From just looking at them, they're gorgeous watches, but I haven't really looked too much. I don't know too much about the horology. That I'd like to find out more about. 9/11. Every now and then, Moritz Grossman will make a special limited production of a watch in stainless steel that is normally made in white gold. Maybe that's what I got. It is a special edition. It's called the Atum Pure H. It's Model H, and it's got a bunch of all of the hands that were part of Moritz Grossman. And they're the backdrop for the dial. Doesn't help on telling time, but they're really sort of cool. What do you think about Speak Marin ripples? Oh, in general, I like Speak Marin, and I like the serpentine hands. But again, the you got a lot of stuff going on with Speak Marin. Hi, Idle Time. Speak Marin had his watches; they were his company, and then something he got pushed out of it somehow, and there's still Speak Marin watches. And then there is Peter Speak, who I think he dropped the Marin for whatever reason. The thing of so if something by Peter Speak with a movement by him. That would be a nice little gem to have. Again, let me recommend again his I guess it's sort of like a column or something called The Naked Watchmaker. And what he does, he undresses all of the movements and really goes into them. And that thing is a gem. He also has a sort of tutorial kind of thing. And that's something that you might want to look at. Hi, Ed. China just crashed. Yeah, I know that. That wasn't China's fault. Apparently, China came out with both TikTok and now they came out with a new AI, and the stock market dropped like a brick, but it's coming back today. They just, people act as though, I don't care if a man on the moon wrote the software, if it's good software, and I think that's what happened. There's I really encourage. I used to teach internet programming, and the problem was people wanted something a little simpler to learn, and you can get into it, and HTML is pretty simple and stuff like that. But something I think is, that's going to happen. And, some people, there's a whole thing is that you have things that are top dog and everything is wonderful for them and you think they're the best. Like you take AOL. I mean, that used to be the platform. Everybody who got into internet, their first chances are they got into AOL. And now, if anyone has AOL, it's sort of like, that was an old phone modem hookup at one time. So things change. It's that the old Roman emperors used to have somebody behind them saying, remember now, power doesn't last forever. The same thing is true with any technology. Somebody comes along with a better one and poof, you're out of business. Look at Apple. Look at Apple's history. They they started off really strong. Then they came out with the Macintosh, and that really was a huge hit. Then they fired the guy who invented everything, Stephen Jobs, and he went over and started Nexus. And then he comes back, and the Apple stock was down next to nothing. And so they bring him back, and what does he do? He comes out with the iMac, and then he comes out with the iPhone, and he just hooked everything into the internet ahead of everyone else. And now the thing is close to worth $1 trillion. And all of his stuff is made in China. All of Apple's stuff. They have a little thing designed in California. Okay, going on. Got me off on a track. Manual movements are nice to feel every few days, but what about MG hematic movements? Draws you. You're right, 9/11. I don't have anything against automatics, and I have some automatics I really like, but this is a hand wound. This thing, I can wind this thing up and it stays wound for 8 days. If I have an automatic that I don't keep in my winder, that thing I have to wind it up again. But this one, it stays wound for 8 days. And I'm happy with it. And so I can put it down and put it back on whenever I want to. So it depends. I don't mind my own, all of my watches, or most of my watches are manual, but I like that. I like the good automatics too. That Parmigiani, what's it called? Tonda 1950 Loon. Oh, I love that watch. That's a great watch. My Hemisphere, great watch. Both of them are automatic. The process of selling a watch is not as much fun as buying one. Let me tell you something, Damon. I would agree, by and large, as a general agreement. However, certain watches, if you have certain watches and you want them to do well, I can highly recommend one of the top auction houses if they'll take it, because they won't take every watch. They will do a fantastic job and put money in your bank, and you don't have to do anything. On the other hand, I do know what you mean about going through the processes. You put it up on eBay or Chrono 24 and then wait and see what happens. And, that's no fun, but you're right about that. Like if I sell a watch, I prefer to sell it to somebody I know. I mean, or somebody I have some kind of communication with. And so anyway, that's sort of cool. I guess it's best time in history for watch collectors. Maybe it is. We'll find out in a few years from now. Um, when I got my, I bought two FP joints, almost got them exactly at the same time, and I got good deals on both of them. One I had to sell, and I got it really did well with that one. Uh, and I thought that was the best time. But one of the few wise things that my my now past father-in-law had told me, he said, "The best deal is yet to be made." So remember that. There's still a best deal to be made, and it may be yours. Hi, Forbin. What's up? Let's see. And the wind up to Bill's story is Apple now makes the most digital watches. Yeah, I know. I tell you, there's not nobody saw that as smart watches by Apple as a quartz crisis. They just sort of went on with the same thing. We're going to be making watches that are more interesting. I hope they do too. I hope they keep that. Hey, Angus, how you doing, man? Related to your rant and fact checking and taking any excuse to get nerdy, I enjoy tuning in because it makes me test my own memory and understanding of the hobby. Opinions are your own. They are. That's true, Angus. Thank, thank you for reminding us. Like it's like the voice behind the emperor. You have to be careful there, Caesar. Caesar, speaking of Caesar, there he is. I think a few years all watches will have silicone hairsprings. Well, they might. Forbin, Reddit Watch Exchange is worth a look. Oh, okay. Thank you, Forbin. I Reddit is sort of one of those things that pops up every now and then, and I never quite know what to do with it. Hey, killer. Surely not all including independents, right? Caesar just says those things. Don't worry. Caesar's just having fun. He's trying to yank my chain, is what he's trying to do. Killer. Don't worry. He just likes to see me go ballistic. Hey, Von Cruel, how you doing? I got a cheap little tripod with a remote for snapping photos. Big upgrade for my watch photography. Great. I also do a great job cleaning up watch for sale. Von Cruel, you did this. I mean, it's not rocket science to get something, one of these little, I got one of those little light boxes. I don't use it too much because I found some better ways to do it. But getting your lighting right and cleaning it up. I see people, they'll put their watch up, that thing hadn't been, all you got to do, you can make a watch look 100 times better. Take a little polishing cloth and just clean the dial off. I am so surprised people have these blurry photographs because they just got in a crummy lighting. Um, it's not that hard. One of the easiest things to do is have a main light, like what's called a key light and a fill light. And I've got a couple things here that look like invaders from Mars. And these things right here, let me show you. These guys, they have a light underneath, and they're also a magnifying glass. And so if I want to bring something down, but I got one here, and then I have another one over here, and I can turn them on and have one be the key light and the other one the fill light. Easy as pie. You don't need, I've got some really expensive lighting that I never use over there. Anybody wants some expensive lighting, I'll put it out in front and you can pick it up. Oh, Caesar, nice try. Hey, James, how you doing? Hey, Killer, the fingerprints. I know, Killer. It's so true. You get these pictures of guys, they have their fingerprints on the watch, and gee, I wonder how come nobody. There was a great deal not long ago. I'm trying to think which one it was. It wasn't long ago. Some guy had his iPhone or whatever he took it with. He takes his picture in his iPhone, and the whole center of his watch looked like something was wrong with it. Something was wrong with the dial. And, people take one look at that and they see this goofy shadow. They don't know what's a shadow. They think water damage or something on the inside of the watch. And now this is the reason I like those things, is that if you find some fool who presents his watch that way, it's going to be passed up by a lot of people. And so they might start dropping the price, and you can really bargain with those guys. You can negotiate them out of their shoes. Some people have done that. I know that somebody who bought that watch, I'm trying to think what kind it was. May have been a Chaumet. I'm not sure. Chaumet. Well, cool. There's also a product called Fits that you can really brighten up the steel. That's something that I use what's called Cape Cod polish on mine, but I would rather just use, this is my, what is this? I think this is my polishing cloth from, it's H. Moser or Parmigiani. I think it's H. Moser. And I worked that on the metal too. And another place on the strap. You just shine that up a little, take a wrist shot, looks 100 times better. And especially if you're trying to, I got this thing out here. Get back. If you're trying to sell it. Flitz, is that what it's called? Flitz? Yeah. Yeah, okay. Yeah, like I said, I always worry about that because I'm not saying it's a wrong thing to do. I'm saying it's the wrong thing for me to do because I'm afraid I'll take off, I'll do something and overdo it somehow. It's like getting gold polish. God, you got to be, if you're gonna have your gold on your watch polished by like a jeweler or something, that's one thing. But even with that, I'd be very careful. You could just take your polishing cloth and make it look like new. This is white gold and it's all shiny and everything. God knows how old the watch is. It's in wonderful shape though. Doesn't take a lot. I never hear talk about Piaget. Good point, Corbin. You're right. Any thoughts about the Piaget at the ultimate automatic watch in white gold? It's only okay now. There's something about Piaget that I like. I'm not sure what it is, but just overall, I like it. The problem with really thin watches is that the movement often has problems. Okay. I like thin watches, but you've got to be careful, especially with automatics in a really thin watch. Um, so that would be sort of my general opinion. I like Piaget. Didn't don't they make what's a doesn't Piaget make a sports watch? What's it called? The Polo? Yeah, the Polo S. That's one of my favorite luxury sports watches that is somewhat affordable. Well, I understand being wary of such product is recommended to be by Marshall at Wristwatch Revival. It's called Flitz, Flitz. Okay, the thing to do, Van Cruel, and this is for anybody else too. Try it on. I'll get one of my old watches over there that are one of my uh, real vintage ones, like this guy, and try it out on that before you try it out on your good watches. Like I said, I'm not against it. I'm just wary of it. Andrew, Heli professional metal watch bracelet cleaner seems to work very well. The thing is, I have no doubt. So does my Cape Cod works very well too, but I'm nervous that I'm going to wreck it. The worst thing you can do is to try to polish out a scratch that is very superficial. See, that's something that I might do, Van Cruel, and mess it up. Hey, Ray, how you doing? Honestly, unless I'm selling a piece, I never bother with polishing. I don't. I mean, I don't know if you call this is what I do just about every day on mine. I'll just clean it up, and I don't know if that counts as polishing, Ray. But you don't want to have your watch is all goofy looking. Yeah, you got this expensive watch you're wearing. You want it to look nice for yourself. Heck with them. Heck with everyone else. The new gold Polo is ridiculous high price. Yeah, I'm not surprised. Yeah, I think they look great. Heli is non-abrasive. Okay. Yeah, experiment on a piece. It doesn't matter. So you got this here. You have all these sort of grungy watches that are really good watches. Then you got this other one that looks like, wow, look at that watch. Piaget is a charming font for its logo. Do you have any favorites in logo lettering? I can't think of any. I like. I do like the. In general, I like Art Deco, but it depends on the watch. Some watches I also like Art Nouveau. Some of the modern fonts. I'm a big freak with fonts. I love fonts. Every now and then I'll get a little thing from this font seller, and they'll say, "Hey, we got a deal going on with these fonts. You want one?" I'll download the font and add it to my already overstuffed font library. James, maybe it's a good idea to buy a homage watch of the one you want and wear it for a while and see if you like it. Before you get the real one. I don't know if I could do that. There's always something a little different. And I'm not sure what you mean by homage, James. There's sometimes that's another name for something that is sort of a really good fake. On the other hand, the one watch is very favorable. Part of the line of watches is the Roger Dubuis homage observatory one. Yum yum. Those are nice watches. I only polish my tea set. That's the responsible thing to do. If you have high tea with a grungy tea set, no one's gonna have anything to do with you, you know? So that's why Leah is so popular. Yeah, Angus, about the thing, I do like the sneaky peripheral rotor, though, because you can see more of the movement. Yeah, if you can find some the I and it depends how big of a problem it is for you. This I don't know, I think it must be a yard wide or long and wide. This is a great big watch. Uh, the hebdomadari watches are big because the movement's big, but it feels fine. I have no problem with a big watch. Certain smaller watches are okay too. I think I could probably handle a 36. The fierce topography. Andrew, the thing is, I'm the same way. I will look at a font and have no idea what it is, and if it's used well together with other fonts, you, really a well designed one. I agree. Trying to think of fears looks like. I can't recall it, but yeah, they're different. They're all kinds of different fonts. Let me see. This this is by this is color combinations, but the guy who wrote this book has all kinds of different fonts that he uses. This is he's got fonts from the 60s, from the 30s, um, from Art Deco, and he starts off with Art Nouveau fonts. And there's there to me, fonts are just another type of art, and a good designer knows how to use them. I am a terrible designer. I can't even match colors. My wife, she does all of this coloring. I take a look at her colors, and all these different colors go together. And I'm like, God, I don't know how they do it. But I use that book. The book will show me color combinations and give me formulas to use, and I'll use those. But man, I tell you, it takes a designer to choose the right font for the right time. I think it's the same true with watches. All of the different parts have to go together, and we've all seen some god awful dials that I don't know. The wasn't a very good designer, but good design's important. My bingo night. No, no, Lee, you can't. You bingo. I heard you cheat at bingo anyway, Lee. No, no. Von Cruz got two copages that I enjoy both. You know, there's some I have a couple watches, not many, like maybe one or two. Yeah, I've got two that I can think of. I bought a, a really inexpensive regulator watch just so I could check off regulator. And then I got this Russian alarm watch. I can't hear worth a bean anyway. I can feel it go zzz, zzz, like that. But so for an alarm or for a, the only regulator I'd really like to have have you guys seen the regulator by Laurent Ferrier? God, it's really nice. There are some beautiful regulators, but sometimes you see, well, I want to have one of those in my collection. Angus, the uh, manual has dial side dead spot that is the autofills, and you can see the transmission gears engage. Ooh, that sounds interesting. Very slick indeed. Von Cruel. Yeah. Yeah, Von Cruel, that's the same thing with me. I love the programming. I can program really, I just love programming and the logic with it. But man, I tell you, if you ever work with designers and they try to program something, forget about it. No offense. If somebody has really good talents on both of them, even more the wonder. Date window font and color that Lee, that's a good point. Have you ever seen you get a watch, it's got a date window, and then you have all of these fonts that are one thing or the other, and then you have a font in the date window that they didn't even think about, and it just doesn't go right with the rest of the fonts. That's a good point. Copudge isn't really catching on, despite my best efforts. For me, it's brings to mind copy and copay. I, there's if I want to make a watch, if I want to watch a sort of a copy one, I'll just whistle up AliExpress. There it goes again. Anyway, call AliExpress and get the parts and put something together that looks like it. We did I don't know if you call it an homage or a sort of a copy of a brigade. We had a brigade style. We got the brigade dial with the brigade numbers and the brigade hands, and that was the brigade sort of. I think we call it a brigade wannabe. Yeah, it's sort of fun. Does Girard-Perregaux use silicone hairsprings? They don't use it because, see, what happened, James, is that three companies, Swatch, Patek Philippe, and Rolex, went in together and invested in creating a silicone hairspring. And so only those three companies can use it. Well, Patek Philippe went whole hog on it, and just about all of their watches from 2009 on are silicone. Rolex had some. There was a woman's watch, and then they came out with a new one, a really great looking watch, and unfortunately they put that in it. But most of the men's watches that they decided not to, because the parachrome hairspring worked great. Anyway, style of fonts is important. I agree. My pet peeve is when multiple fonts are used on a watch. Yeah, that's really funny, Brian. It looks like a ransom note. They put all these different fonts together. It's like, wow. Now, if you're writing a ransom note, that's different. You can use all the different fonts you want. Yeah, that's true. It really is true, Von Cruel. Hey, Ray, what you got? Our bioinformatics is also our figure aesthetic designer. I guess someone is good at both. Oh yeah, yeah. You can have people who are good at both. I just it's there's a difference between being good at both and people who think they're good at both. I've seen more of the latter than the former. Foe. I couldn't put together these IXDAO engineer watches with parts from an AliExpress. Not at all. Huh. Well, if you need help, Brian knows how to put on the second hands. He's good at that. Howard, what's up? Date windows and date wheels run a lot of great dials. Ruin a lot of great dials. No kidding. By and large, I'm not a big fan of date windows. The date windows on the Parmigianis, they have like a little curve in it, and that they make it look nice. And I think their numbers look good. Let me see if I can tell real quickly. Yeah, one of the things, I don't know if you guys can see it or not. Let me show you. Oh boy. You can't quite see it, but there at right above this 6, which looks like a 9 to you, there's a date window, and it's got complementary fonts. I don't know if they're exactly the same. It's sort of hard to tell, but they both have serif fonts rather than one. A lot of times they don't match that way. Oh, McNuss. I don't comment much, mainly just eavesdrop when I can. Have you ever owned a 3940 at all? McNaz, I'm not sure what a 3940 is. There are a lot of numbers. I have no idea what they are. Tell me what a 3940 is, and I'll tell you. Our thoughts on the 240Q. I will be glad to. What are they? There's if in certain circles, if you're really tight in a circle, like if I talk to somebody who's really into Rolexes, man, they just roll out all these numbers, and I have no idea what they're talking about. What they're talking about are different reference numbers and different models. But to me, it's all Greek. Now, if they say something about the movement, what's in the movement, the ones with and without the Faraday cage and things like that, then I can understand it. But I'm sorry, man, on the numbers, I just don't know what they are. So give me a hint. Well, Uncouth, I'm really keen on GP, Girard-Perregaux, especially since I interacted with some of the great people there. Yeah, I think Girard-Perregaux is a good one. They had, in fact, on my first Besseron Constantin overseas, it was based on a GP on a Girard-Perregaux. I think the first part, just crazy old. That's all that I get to, Lee. Killer, more than wacky font. I dislike when dial has just way too much text, which some companies offer more than others. You would love H. Moser then. They have what amounts to a sterile dial that's some real beautiful color or something, but they took the logo off. Mine still has the H. Moser logo. Cheers, I'll enjoy what's left of your respective days. Take care, Andrew. Just buy them by the dozen. I recently got a nice tool for placing watch hands from China. It's a clone of Bergone tool, which is, if you have a tool that you use like once every blue moon, in my case, it would be with bracelets, because the only bracelet I have is one I don't even need I just use my regular screwdrivers on my Ming bracelet. But I think, if you use something just not very often, you can get some very inexpensive ones. On the other hand, if you're really into it professionally, you need the best tools you can afford. The favorite ones, Lee, are the several on Hermes watches. I agree. Hermes they have some really great font designers. So many of it, what kind of font you want? You want a Breguet font or nothing? Hey, thanks, Killer. You laid another number on me. Okay. Oh, a Patek Philippe calendar and a 240Q movement. Okay. If it's after 2009, no, I think nothing of it. I think that I don't know why they didn't have to. I mean, it's one thing having some of your like put it in a Calatrava and hum it away, but you have something like a something that complex, McMo's a perpetual calendar. If you're going to put silicon in it, you can get one out of quartz, perpetual calendar, or smartwatch that'll last until the next eon. But if you're going to have a mechanical watch, I just a traditional one, it just sort of drives me crazy. But Caesar looks like Caesar's gone now, so he'll try to get me going about silicon. But if you like it, you like it. Um, I'm very close to buying a Patek Philippe that was pre 2009. It's a really nice watch. I may still get it. It's one that I've liked ever since I collected watches. I've liked it. For some reason, I never bought it. And then after 2009, I figured, I've had it with Patek Philippe. They can go try to convince someone that it's part of an heirloom. Hey, Stephen, how you doing? Did you see Timex came out with their first $2,000 watch? It's called the Galley S2 Tie. Hey, Stephen, let me ask you a question. Who owns Timex? Is Timex part of Swatch? I don't know. Hey, Ray, Patek and Rolex people only talk in reference number. It drives me crazy. Right, Ray. You too, huh? Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess they're probably a very useful thing if that's what you're really into collecting. Okay, let me see. Which one? The one I like, I think, is called the 5126. So there, pre 2009. Angus, worst date window is the Omega Aquaterra annual calendar. The thick frame around the date, literally shaped like a coffin. Bad Mojo is right. Manual clock hand setting tool. You guys want to see a neat tool? Let me show it to you. This is one, and I know it sounds stupid, and it's probably overpriced. This guy right here. Let me see if you can see it. What it is, you put it on, and you put it on your wrist. And, if you're wondering about if you're buying a band and you're not sure, you can't see it. Let me see. It adds numbers. It gives you the wrist size both in inches as well as millimeters. I think millimeters are, in terms of this one I got from Bergeron. But it's funny. It's just the doggone thing is that it's one of those things you're not going to use, every day or every week or even every month. But boy, I tell you, if somebody has a watch that I'm thinking of buying and saying it'll fit X amount of wrist, I'll pull that thing out and see if I've lost or gained weight. Just a handy tool. Pushers are see-through, huh? Hey, John D. Gosh, I missed the first hour. Ugh. That's okay. This is an unplanned, irresponsible, unsponsored. Oh, John, it's technically, I don't know. It's a metalloid instead of a transitional metal. I don't know if it is. It's common as dirt, though. I know that. Yeah, killer. Pre 2007. Actually, I think it can be pre 2009. Will get you through it. They're owned by a Dutch holding company. Okay. Thanks, Stephen. By that token, Apple Watch is technically superior. Oh, yeah, technically they are. Yeah, I agree. Technically they are. But, on a mechanical watch, there's a difference between silicon in a mechanical watch context and silicon in a uh, basically a micro computer context. I mean, that's basically what a smartwatch is a small computer. Uh, with I mean, talk like Dick Tracy. My favorite optimists are old guys that buy peripheral calendars and plant trees. What watch do I have on? This is called a Parmigiani Ovale pantograph. I actually bought a staking set from Kuan Yun. It's really nice. I'm ready to tackle a vintage watch tool-wise. Yeah, this is something I've got. Like I was talking about this the other day. This is my watch that I had to get I had this watch all ready to go and it wouldn't fit into the case. So I had to get a new case or a new dial or a new something. And since I had a gold plated case for the first time, I got a new dial and I got new hands and I got to get everything done. And I haven't gotten around to it yet. Oh, I actually bought yeah. Okay, Brian, you're time for a walk. Look, I understand that. Speaking of dogs who should go for a walk, we've been on this for over an hour before I start getting the looks. Anyway, bonkers watch and telescoping hands. That's my watch. Really interesting case shape on your Parmigiani. Do you prefer non-round? No, I like my cases. I think this is the only oval case that I have. My other ones are round, and I have a few. What do they call it? Tonneau shape. I got a few rectangle shape, but most of my watches are just round watches. I like them all though. Anyway, I'm sort of like a Will Rogers said. He said he never met a man he didn't like. I'm pretty much that way with watches, except for silicon. Anyway, take care, guys. Have a great day, and we'll see you later.